Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, talking Ohio State with Tony Gerdeman from the Ozone. And we always enjoy the discussion with Tony. And, of course, the Buckeyes have their spring game coming up this weekend, unlike Wisconsin and Michigan, and others are added to the list. Ohio State will proceed with the spring game there at the Shoe. Tony, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Definitely. So it's always a good time. We've got the quarterback situation that we have talked to death. Now, finally, we're going to have at least the public. You go out to the practices and get to see a little bit right there. But the public is finally going to have something to go on, because right now, I tell you, and you know this better than I do, if we held a poll, I think the Dwayne Haskins lead in the public perception mind is a lot greater than what it actually might be because of the Michigan game. And rightfully so. But, you know, those guys are taking reps in practice, and Joe Burrow will have something to say about this.
Yeah, and, you know, quarterbacks coach Ryan Day was asked how much that Michigan game means this year for Dwayne Haskins and the entire quarterback race. And Day said that was last year. You know, what have you done for me lately? And that's, you know, they're not being measured on last year. What that does do for them is it lets them know what Dwayne Haskins is capable of. But if he doesn't show that this spring, then it doesn't matter what he did. So, yeah, people, that's, I mean, we don't get to see anything anymore in practice. So, you know, we talked to Urban Meyer on April 2nd and then talked to him again on April 11th. And so it's been a wide stretch and nobody else is really wanting to talk about the quarterbacks. So, you know, Meyer said yesterday on, you know, that things are still, it's a three-man race between Dwayne Haskins, Joe Burrow, and even Tate Martell. I was talking to somebody today, not, you know, a source, I guess you would say. Joe Burrow looked really good this past week. It feels like a situation where I guarantee he's even said this. He's annoyed by the people who think he's going to transfer, who are waiting for him to transfer. He was asked a few weeks back, like, how do you proceed with practice and also scout out schools that you could transfer to? And he's like, you know, no, I'm at Ohio State, and this is my focus right now. So he's got a lot to prove to you know, his team and everything, and the coaches. But he's just this is sort of what he's always wanted to do. This is pretty much his last chance to show it. He's more motivated than maybe anybody else just because of everything being said. And then you've got Tate Martell, who will play this year, but I don't think anybody thinks he'll be the starter. So they're giving him a bunch of reps, most likely in preparation to play, but not to start. Because, you know, with Joe Burrow, I mean, he brings up the transfer talk. So, you know, that's out there. He graduates in May. And if you cloud the situation even more with a third quarterback, that's probably not going to be the best thing to keep Joe Burrow around, especially if nobody has won the job by the time spring football is over. Now it's a three-man race instead of a two-man race. And maybe he would just, you know, have the decision made for him that, you know what, since there is so much confusion here, I'm going to go somewhere where it's clearer.
Tony, the one-line scouting report seems to be that Dwayne Haskins, of course, proved it against Michigan in 7 passes, and some of them very crucial, and we've talked about those in the past. And for people that watch this, I'm guessing you watched the Michigan game, so you know what we're talking about. The stereotype, I don't want to go there, but in regards to color, would be that Dwayne Haskins would be a better athlete. But in actuality, Joe Burrow is the better runner. And when I keep hearing better runner, and because I haven't seen Burrow play, except for I've seen the mop-up duty, and I've seen the spring game before, is better meaning faster, or JT Barrett's style better in that he just has a feel for it? And then, of course, Tate Martell, his one-line scouting report is he's kind of the Tim Tebow. He could be a power type of running quarterback.
Well, Martell is the quickest of them all, the fastest of them all. Joe Burrow is the most like JT Barrett. He's the most determined runner. He's a pretty good runner. Rushed for over 1,000 yards as a high school senior. Is a dual threat quarterback, even though he threw for, you know, 60 touchdowns as well. Whereas Dwayne Haskins is mobile enough to get out of trouble. He ran for, you know, had a 23-yard scramble against Michigan last year. So he would prefer to throw the ball. Joe Burrow will do either. And you wonder if Burrow's similarities in playing style to JT Barrett would, if all things are equal, make maybe him the guy, because it would be less change for the rest of the team. But the rest of the team is also looking for a change. They want to throw the ball more. The running backs want to have more carries. So like everybody is looking forward to the way the new offense is going to be. And I don't know how much different it would be under Burrow, but you would think that the passing game would improve, even though JT Barrett is arguably the best quarterback in Ohio State history, but he had limitations. And they don't necessarily feel that, even though they won't admit JT Barrett has limitations at Ohio State. These other quarterbacks don't necessarily have those same arm limitations. So they'll be more passing. But yeah, Burrow is the guy that is the most like JT Barrett on and off the field.
All right. So Josh Allen, who's going into the NFL draft, he's reported to be able to throw the ball 90 yards. We saw Cardell Jones and have seen him more recently in flip-flops throw at 70 at the spring game. So who's the guy? Is there a separation in arm strength? In the yardage distance? I think that's so overrated. It's more about, can you make that out? Can you throw that ball all the way across the field on those out routes and beat that cornerback who's got the angle? So is there a guy that has the edge in arm strength?
Probably Dwayne Haskins. You know, every spring game at halftime, they have the long distance throw with Cardale will be there, and JT and all of the quarterbacks on hand will compete. So I don't know if that's going to happen this time around, but I would expect that Dwayne would win that. Maybe not over Cardale, who might he likes to defend his title. But yeah, Haskins has the strongest arm, but the other two guys aren't lacking, and they've only gotten stronger as they've been in the program. And that's where the upgrade over JT Barrett will be seen for sure.